Today we're creating a classic card deck with 52 cards in it and some methods on it to be able to manipulate the deck a little bit. It's going to make a great foundation for any card games that you want to build in JavaScript. Okay, so to get started, make a new folder. I called mine classic deck. You can call yours whatever you'd like, and I'm going to run npm init-y to get the default settings there. Move this mic stand up just a little bit if you hear noises. Okay, a little more. There we go. All right, and that's loaded now. So we're going to install two libraries. So npm i-save. The first one is node emoji, and that's to get our suits of hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades because standard the node terminal doesn't like it. It throws an error. And the second is my easy read library that just has some nice JavaScript methods in it that I made. So let that run. And I'm going to work on figuring out how to get that pop-up to stop appearing in the bottom right corner. But for now, it's just there. Okay. So we have those installed. Now we can go ahead and create a index.js file, and this is where the main part of our JavaScript is going to go. And the first thing I think we would need to do is get the suits for the cards, right? And we can't just get them, we have to get them with the node emoji library. So we're going to make a second file for the suits, and we'll come back to index.js in just a minute. So we can do suits init, because we're initiating them, .js. And then inside of this suits init.js, we're going to do, and I just want to make sure I have another copy of, I've already created this once, right? And this is the second time making it. I keep the first time up because I can't memorize every single thing that I do. And plus the tutorial flows a little better this way, I think. So in suits init, we're going to do const emoji equals require, and it's going to be node emoji, and that should have installed. Let's make sure, because it didn't IntelliSense it. Yeah, it's there, node emoji. Okay, and then underneath that, we need to get the spades emoji, hearts, diamonds, and clubs, right? So const spades equals, oops, not require, emoji dot get, and what do we want to get? We want to get the spades emoji, and then we need to do the same thing for hearts, diamonds, and clubs. So just copy paste that 3 times. If you double click on the word you want, push the alt key down and double click on the next word, you can type both at once. So both will be replaced with hearts. Same thing, double click, alt, double click, diamonds. And the last one is clubs, double click, alt, double click, clubs. All right, and so that'll get our emojis, and just so we can make sure that we're getting them with like a console.log, spades, hearts, and you know what, let's log them as an array because that's how we're going to export them in just a second. Spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs. And I don't know if it'll log that or not, but let's find out. Node, and we want to run the suits. Yeah. All right, and there they are, right? Our array of spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs, which is exactly what we wanted. Now, instead of logging them, let's export them. So we can do module.exports equals, and we're going to export that array just like that. And that's it for that file, right? We got the suits and we exported them as an array. Now we're going to go over to our index.js file, and that's where we're going to import that. So for now, we can say const suits equals require /suits init. Okay. And while we're importing some stuff, we're going to import some functions from the easy read library. So const freeze, which is the same as object.freeze, freezes objects and arrays. This also deep freezes. It's just a shorter way to do it. Drop, which does what it says. It'll drop things from a string or an array, and we'll show examples of that in just a minute. Take does the same thing. Shuffle. Shuffle takes an array of items and randomly mixes them, and that's it. So equals require, and we're going to require easy read. Again, we're using those because it makes things easier to read, in my opinion. So next thing is we want to create the deck class, and that's going to be our card deck. So class deck. And in JavaScript, usually you put the bracket on the same line, the opening bracket, and that's fine, but I've been really getting into this style where the opening bracket's underneath, and been enjoying that style, so I'm going to use that today. Feel free to put, style it as you please with your opening bracket on the line above. And inside the deck, we're going to need an array of suits, an array of ranks, right? Like 2, 3, 4, 5. So we already got the suits, and then we need the array of ranks, and then we need to combine those into a deck. So let's initially here get the suits again. So suits equals, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this require out of here, get rid of that. We're going to put it right here, and that's going to store our array inside of suits. Yeah, and we don't want this array to be manipulated, so we're going to freeze it. So freeze is you can't change any of it. You can't add or subtract from the array, and you can't change things inside of the array, even if they're nested, because it's a deep freeze. So with array, with this freeze, with seal, there's also object.seal that just changes, that says, hey, you can't add or take from this array, but you can change the things inside of it. So it's the difference between freeze and seal. So there's the suits. Now we need the ranks, and the ranks are going to equal, and again, we're going to freeze this one because we don't want it to go anywhere. It's an array, and we need 2 through ace, right? So 2, 3, 4, 10, queen, king, yeah, and ace. All right, so we got our ranks and we got our suits. Now we need to combine those, right? So we need like a 2 of spades, 3 of spades, 4 spades, and then we need 2 of the next suit, and so on and so forth. So we need 52 cards based off of those 2 arrays we have, the suits array and the ranks array. And we're going to store those in our deck variable, and that's going to be equal to, and we're going to make a function called initialize deck, and we're going to initialize it with this dot suits as an argument and this dot ranks. So this initialize deck function is going to take in the suits and ranks, and it's going to create a deck of 52 cards that we're going to store in this deck variable. So now we need to create that initialize deck function, and we're going to store it in a different JavaScript module, and we'll call it deck init.js. I'm just going to bring that one up on the other screen to make sure we're doing it correctly. All right, and so here comes the function. Function initialize deck. And that deck, we said, takes in some suits and some ranks. Both of those are arrays, right? And again, in JavaScript, you put the bracket up here, like I just did, but for the way I like styling right now, I'm going to put it underneath. And then to initialize the deck, we're going to eventually need to store everything inside of an array. So const deck equals an empty array. And then we're going to use some for each loops to get access to each suit and each rank, and then string them together. So for example, we're going to do suits dot for each suit. And again, it would look like this. I'm going to use the kind of syntax look that I prefer right now, which is this. And then for each suit, and then we're going to nest a for each inside of that. So ranks dot for each rank, and then we can do deck dot push. And what do we want to do? We're going to push the rank first. So like 2 of what? 2 of the suit: clubs, spades, diamonds, hearts. All right. So that's how we initialize the deck. And then once we have the whole deck of 52 cards, we're going to return the deck. So it takes in the first suit, which is like spades, and then for each, and then it's going to run over every single rank with the spades thing. So it's going to be like a 2 of spades, and then it's going to push 3 of spades, 4 of spades, and it's going to do that for all this, for every single thing inside of rank. Once it gets to ace, then it's going to go to the next suit. So spades, I think hearts was next, so it'd be like yeah, hearts was next down here. So it'd be like 2 of hearts, 3 of hearts, and it's going to do that for each suit until we have 52 cards stored in our deck array, and then we return it. Alright, so we have that. We need to export it. Module.exports equals initialize deck, and we'll import it at the top of our index.js file. Const initialize deck equals require /deck init. Alright, so we have that, and now we want to be able to see that we have it, right? So let's make a function in our deck class so we can kind of log that we have it. So let's make a show function, and inside of that show function, I'm going to console.log this.deck. Alright, and to make sure, and now if we run this, it's not going to do anything immediately because this class deck has no instantiations yet. So down here at the bottom, we can do const deck equals new. So we're instantiating a new deck from this deck class. And then we can say deck.show. And deck.show is going to log the deck that we've created. So here we go. Not suits, node index, right? Because we're in the main file now. And move this up. And you'll see that there we are, is our deck of 52 cards in order. So it starts with 2 of spades, it goes through all the spades, then hearts, then diamonds, then clubs. Perfect, okay? But now, when we play a card game, right, we don't want to know the order of the deck. We want it to be random every time. So to fix that, when we initialize the deck, so we initialize it, then we want to shuffle it. And we imported the shuffle function, which shuffles our array, from EasyRead. So we can just do shuffle, and we're wrapping the initialize deck inside of the shuffle function. So first it initializes the deck of these 52 cards, then it shuffles these randomly. And if we save that, okay, and we're just going to run it again, now you'll see that the order is different. And if we run it 1 or 2 more times, now it starts with ace of diamonds, and then 9 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 2 of spades. It changes every time the deck order. It's completely random. And that, if you're wondering, the shuffle function there is based on the Fisher-Yates algorithm. All right, so that's our deck, and we can show it. Now we're going to add 3 more functions to it to kind of give some fundamental functionality if you want to make a card game, and you need a deck of cards, right? So we want to show the deck. Now we want to shuffle the deck. So here we go. This dot deck. Okay, so we're reassigning this deck. So it was a random array of 52 cards, and now we're going to say we're going to reshuffle it. Shuffle this dot deck, and that's it. So we just reshuffle the deck and store it back inside of this dot deck. Now let's make sure it works. So we initially show the deck, then we want to do deck dot shuffle. Nope, dot shuffle deck. There we go. And then, because we're using this shuffle deck function inside of our deck class. So deck.show, the initial deck, then shuffle it, then deck., well, not do not track, deck.show the new deck. So it's going to show a random thing of 52 cards, then it'll shuffle it and show a new random thing of 52 cards. Here we go. And if we take a look, this one starts with queen of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, and this one starts with ace of spades, 3 of diamonds, 9 of clubs. And if you kind of compare both, you'll see that they're completely random each time. And that also works if you have like 5 cards in your deck. You can shuffle just those 5 cards, right? So this shuffle deck isn't just for full decks, it's for partial decks as well. Underneath that, we're going to have a discard method for that discard functionality in your deck. If you want to discard things off the top of your deck, right? So it's going to take in a number, the number of things that you want to discard, and we're going to reassign this .deck, and it's going to be equal to drop. Now the drop function is from easy read that we imported up top, and what that does is, let's say we have this array down here, right? And we wanted to we wanted to discard 5 cards from our from our deck of 52. So we would say drop 5 from this .deck, and that drop function literally just drops the first 5 things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'd be left with the rest of the deck. So this .deck equals drop num, so it takes in a num, right? So we would say discard, and we'll give it a num, this .deck. And now let's go down and see how that works. So we have deck.show. Instead of shuffling this time, we're going to say deck.discard. And just for visual purposes, we'll discard 49 of the cards. That means there'll be 3 left the next time we show the deck. All right, so save it. And we're going to run it. All right, and you'll see that this is the initial deck. We then discarded 49 cards, and we're left with just 3 cards in our deck, which we then showed. And the last 3 cards, right, are the 3 cards that are left because we discarded the other 49 above it. So that's the discard function. There's only 1 left, and that's the deal function, or some people would call it the draw function, where you draw cards. I'm going to call it deal. You can call it either one. Deal, and it takes in a number, and that's the number of cards that you want to deal or draw, right? So we're going to say this needs to do 2 things. It needs to deal the cards, it needs to give you the cards, and then it needs to get rid of those cards from the card deck, since it's not going to be a destructive method. So const, and I'm going to call it hand, so like your hand, equals take. And take is the kind of the opposite of drop, so we're going to take the first X number of cards from the deck. So take num, however many that you pass into deal, from this .deck. And again, this one's not destructive, so it's going to take those, store it in hand, but the deck will still have those cards. So then we need to drop those cards from the deck. After we take them, then we need to drop them. So const, oops, don't need const, we just need to rewrite the deck. So this .deck equals drop, and we're going to drop the same number of cards that we took from this .deck. So again, take, say we took 5 from the deck, those 5 will still be in the deck, and we stored them in hand, but they'll still be in the deck. So then we want to, after we store them in hand, then we want to drop them from the deck, and then we want to return the hand that we dealt, or that we drew. Save that. And down at the bottom, we can do, so instead of discarding, let's do deal, and let's deal 7 cards. So we show, we deal 7, and this returns something though, right? Deal returns something, so we can say const my hand equals deck.deal 7, and then we can say console.log my hand, and then we'll show the rest of the deck. So this one's going to take quite a bit of space, so let's run a clear, and here we go. Okay, so it prints the full deck of 52 cards. Then we deal 7 cards and store them inside of my hand, and then we log those 7 cards. So let's see. There's the first 7, right? We dealt them into the my hand variable, and then we logged the my hand variable. So there's those 7 cards in an array. And then we said, hey, print the rest of the deck, show what's left in the deck. And we did. And array of diamonds, you'll see, is the 8th card. And that is where the deck picks up at. So we have a basic deck here. We have a deck of cards, and it has some functionality to it, right? You can show the deck, you can shuffle the deck, you can discard cards from the deck, or you can deal cards from the deck into players' hands. And hopefully that's enough to get started and create some interesting card games with Node or with JavaScript and the DOM. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, follow, and we'll see you soon. Bye.